Sorry about that if you guys are watching on um,
Of course.
something else. So we're watching my sister's Palm Titan. If you guys don't know, he looks like this. And he has the same heart condition that our last Palm had, Cujo. So let's two zoomed in.
All right.
Sorry about the movement, just getting situated.
What's up, y'all? What's up? What's up? We're gonna do a little airbrushing for y'all. If you have an airbrush, feel free to get yours out.
Paint along.
If y'all want to, I'm gonna do some warm-up stuff just to kind of show you what I do. If you're new here, welcome. This is what I do basically to get warmed up airbrushing. I just get a carbon black. And if you see me do this, it's a bad habit. I suggest you not to learn it, but every airbrush artist does it. Just because once there's a time if you're painting and there could be some paint, a little bit just on the tip of the needle, and if you start to spray, that will spray onto your subject or t-shirt or canvas or whatever you're painting. I think we all just do this it's just a thing. So,
Can everyone hear okay? Just want to make sure.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to talk loud enough, but I highly doubt that's going to work. Okay. All right, so what we can do first is just do dots. You can do big dots, you do bigger dots, just to kind of get an idea of how much paint comes out when you push down and you pull all the way back, fast or slow or however. You get closer, the dots definitely get smaller. You get far behind, back, they get bigger. Closer, smaller. And you always want to keep your air on when you are, basically when you're painting. You don't have to always keep it on if you're not painting, but when you paint, start the air, pull back, boom, pull back, pull back. You're pulling back and pushing forward to quit the paint, basically. Paint, paint, paint. And you can do lines if you like. Now, if you're doing this and you have a sputtery line, you might want to clean there. Some of the paint dries on the tip of the needle. Sometimes you might not have enough air pressure. Sometimes you might not have enough paint in your jar, or it's just your cone or your needle might be a little dirty. So always clean your airbrush out when you're done using it. It bites. It bites. It grinds my gears when somebody tells me, "Oh, I got an airbrush, but it's at home and I never cleaned it, so it's just sitting there." And then I try to use it and it doesn't work. Well, there's going to be paint built up in here, so don't just leave it when you're done with it. Completely clean it out. Soapy water. Um, and yeah. So you can practice just lines from blunt end to blunt end, or you can start blunt end to point. And that basically is shutting off your paint by pushing forward, and just you continue your line. You don't just stop. You just continue your line. And you can practice how short you get. how long you can get. And that's basically how one of the first things that I always wanted to learn was the dagger stroke, to where you can do your stars. And then there's your dots coming in handy. Boop. There you go. I saw this girl the other day on TikTok. She was doing her dagger stroke sideways. Look at that. But she was doing it with a pinstripe. But it definitely does give it a different angle. That's fun.
I like that.
It's like it's laying flat, kind of. And then what you can do, so when you're practicing, when you're warming up, use what don't just clear this off and get another piece. Go in and and try to, for control wise, and basically what you want to do when you're airbrushing is kind of looking forward. You're kind of looking. You're not just right here in the moment. You're kind of going to this next. The next area that you want to paint, so that you know exactly where you're going. And then this stuff right here will teach you to kind of, to get in that groove of going to the next image. So what I like to do is do like loop-de-loops. Well, see that? I was off.
Is that TJ? Hey, Lisa. Y'all let me know where you're watching from. And if you have any questions. We missed you, Lisa. Hope you've been well.
So yeah. And then if you want, you can kind of get your dagger strokes down again by just kind of going in between these dots. And then your loop-de-loops on here. I know these aren't equally, parted, separated, but you can always practice your loops. And this is just getting consistent with the line and knowing exactly where your airbrush is going when you have a confidence of knowing that your airbrush is going in that direction, or where you're laying the paint, basically. I'm a horrible teacher at this, so you're gonna have to excuse me. I don't know if they can see. Can you guys see all right, like at this angle?
I accidentally made it a vertical, but
it's kind of like the writing stuff in like grade school when you had that blue. What is that? It's like blue and red paper. Is that what I remember? Or like the dotted line paper. So you're doing.
This is a view.
Okay. When you're doing, I don't want to do the lettering stuff yet. I just want, this is just warming up, like I said, and then for beginners. So Jerry, if you're watching, do this. Jerry Taylor, Laura Taylor's husband, practice this stuff. Because I know when you're doing it in your head and it's coming out of the airbrush and it doesn't work, you just want to take it and you just want to tap, destroy this. I've been there. I understand. So it'll come with time when you're able to, you know exactly where the paint will be, how much will be. Farther you get back, the wider your paint's going to be. Closer, the thinner.
That makes sense.
And if you do stuff like this, then you could go in and practice filling in those dots like that. If you could see that. That's a little advanced, but that's all I tell people is get a decent airbrush. You could get the, the masters or whatever those are. they're not as reliable as the Eclipse. Unless you've already started using it, that's completely up to you. But you have a good, decent airbrush, it's going to be a lot easier to use than a poorly constructed airbrush.
That makes sense.
So, yeah.
So,
any questions?
Titan, calm down.
He's trying to get our attention. That's his thing. That's his like, hey, look at me. Mm-hmm. He wants the attention. So, that's kind of just my warm up. I don't know how other people do it, but it gets your hand kind of acclimated to fast. And if you notice, I don't know if you can see this. I do have like a small little indentation. It's because I'm holding the airbrush a little bit too tight. I probably should clean this out. I have a new needle and new tip in here, or a cone, I should say. But yeah, I apologize for that. He's getting excited. I don't know. But if you find your hand cramping up as well, right here, you will, and you know, up here, maybe in your fingers, just loosen up. Just all you have to do is remember, keep the air on, pull back, press forward. When you pull back when you want paint, push forward, no paint. And when there's air on, that means the second you pull back, the paint's going to come out. Practice that, just so you know how to utilize the trigger. I need to lighten up a little bit. I'm getting a little pressure right there. And this is how I hold it. I put my hand up here, and I've done this ever since I first started. It's basically for having a steady hand. I've seen people on TikTok just straight paint, you know. They're like in there just doing their thing or up close painting. I have no idea how they do that. I have to have my hand on here. Holding it still.
One does make sense. Oh, it's an entertainer. Not bad. What's up, John? Thanks, TG, for reminding people to use their thumbs. Lucy says, how do you know what pressure to have your compressor on?
Well, with the siphon fed, which is this, what this is the air comes right here, right out here, and it basically siphons the paint from in here. Let's see, I'll show you how this siphon fed works. There is a little hose that goes down into it, and it basically sucks the paint out, and it spits it out here. Now you also have an airbrush that's called a gravity feed, which is this, which the paint just kind of falls in and pushes it out. So this particular airbrush takes maybe 15 PSI, 20 PSI, depending on your paint. It varies as well. This feels a little high to me just because I can hear it. And if it's that easy to make that sound, I know that's silly. It's pretty high. And I think because I have it up high, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 airbrushes working at one time. So
sorry about that, y'all.
You need a lot of air, you know, a constant airflow, you know, through your airbrushes. So I think I have this up. I can't even see that.
Can we go look at it?
Yeah, it's whatever that is right there. I have a regulator on it.
Looks like 60.
There's no way it's at 60.
Okay, well, if it's 20, 40 number and an 80, then that number in the middle is what it's on.
Oh, so I would say 40 psi.
But you have
like
100.
I know. So I have it at 60 because I have so many airbrushes hooked up, and that's a lot of, a lot of going through the all these hoses. So I would guess it's at about, I would say 35 to 45 psi, because you want enough to have a good consistent flow of paint coming out. If not, it's going to sputter and it's going to really frustrate you. So I would just kind of practice and see when you want to have that much air, like when you want that paint to come out right when it does. That's what the air pressure does as well. It makes sure that it's pushing that paint out.
Because thank you makes sense with more airbrush subject.
Yeah, you want a couple.
Sarah Bear from Australia says, the first time I used my airbrush, it was a top feeder and the paint pot exploded and went everywhere.
It will do that. If your little cap is clogged, or the paint gets clogged up at your needle or inside of here, what that's going to do, and it'll do on these, it'll do that. It'll back up and then it has to come out somewhere. So it'll come out the top, or what I did today, but I did fill it full of white. I was using white. Sometimes you can clear your line, because sometimes it'll get clogged up. Maybe some old paint is in there, and the little tube gets clogged up in there. There's two things you got to watch out for. If you do that, make sure your paint is not full to the top if you want to try to clear that. And what you do, I don't recommend doing this, but you pull back. Do not push forward, because that needle will poke you. Unless you have a protector on here. There's like a little, this little guy that goes on the end of airbrushes. It's a little chuck thing or whatever they call that. So you don't damage your needle as well. But this will protect your finger. Hold on to that, push down, and then when you pull back, it'll just kind of push air back through it. I did that today, and white paint came out of this little breather hole all over whatever I was practicing on.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's at one point, if you do that, it'll gather up pressure in here. If this is clogged, if your little breather hole and your airbrush is clogged, and you take this off, paint is going to come out of there like a volcano. And I've done that working on paintings. I've done that working on a car all over the car hood. Like, you definitely learn what not to do when you're airbrushing, especially when it comes to people's expensive
everything
stuff. Yes. And like I said, and if you're messing around with it, trying to get it to work, always go up to the side, spray it, because especially with these. So the difference also with, there's rarely paint on here. So, but when there's paint here and you pull back this trigger without pushing down, that paint is going to want to just fall out of the airbrush. And then when you spray to paint, there'll be paint on the end of that, and it'll just spray out all over, if that makes any sense.
I think it does.
I know I'm talking kind of fast, but like I said, I don't feel like I should be teaching anybody.
Well, everybody loves watching you airbrush. They even say so. Hello, Jerry.
Jerry's in here?
Jerry Peter.
Oh.
Are all of your airbrushes hooked up to the same compressor?
Yes.
So while he is finishing his warm up, I'll show you his compressor. It is right here. It is a good size compressor.
California Silent Air.
You want to see the size of my hand? It's called a silent air. I wouldn't say it's very silent, but it is one of the quieter.
It's a lot more quiet than a typical airbrush.
Especially for the size that it is.
And that's the sound. Like you could take that to someone's house doing a mural or somewhere and people not be too annoyed with it.
So he will be painting a shirt. This is just a warm-up. And how infuriating is it that his warm-up looks like that? Maybe I'm the only one. Canvas, okay. You can go, okay. You can take him. Donna is also in Australia. We have a lot of Australian friends with us today. Is there a reason to spray without the chuck part on?
Sometimes the chuck will, I don't know if it's in my head or if it actually does it, but I feel like it kind of restricts detail. I guess it just depends on the user. I like to do it because then that way I can clean off the needle. I'm not like pushing it. I'm just taking just the skin and just kind of peeling away because the paint dries up on the needle.
You'll see him a lot kind of pinching the needle of his airbrush, and that's just cleaning the dried paint off the tip of it, even if there isn't really anything on it. It's a habit. Lisa says, awesome, I'll have to try it without it on. Let's just say, though, be very careful because it does protect the tip if you drop it or bump into your airbrush.
Be very careful.
So maybe take it off to airbrush, and then as soon as you set it down, put it back on, just like a protector cap.
Yeah. All right. I think I'm done with that. Unless y'all want me to do something else, I'm going to move to this shirt.
Careful taking requests.
Well, practicing wise. All right. I already have the shirt up here. I just have a, this is a medium shirt. And I just cut this board today, so it fits pretty good. I don't mind having this much of the sleeve out, but
they can't.
You just got to be. Oh, that's all right. They can see it. All right. And sometimes I do put. This is a new board, and it's pretty smooth. I'm liking how it fits. Normally, I would put some adhesive spray just to make sure the shirt doesn't move. If your board's too small, put some adhesive spray so that your shirt is, it's nice and smooth and it doesn't move around. Yeah. Hey guys.
Yeah. Bowie's trying to escape and Canvas is trying to get
all right. So
go.
This is our lip bite stencil. Okay. There's a couple ways you can use this. What I like to do, normally I like to spray the color part first. But it's difficult to see it when you put the black lines down. Does that make sense? So what I'm going to do for y'all is put the black lines first. The only reason I don't like to do this is because when you spray the black lines, and the black lines are up there, and then you spray your colors over it, your paint goes over the black and it kind of fades it a little. I know that sounds really crazy, but it does. So then you have to go back over these lines, but you really want to anyways to get some definition, some shadowing. And so I'll say this is the first one, the black outline. Get you a little spray adhesive, put it on the back. Find out where you want this. And normally this would be on a white shirt, but I wanted to use a blue shirt because I think it looks cool when you airbrush on a different color something.
I think so too.
And what I do recommend, because this is not a lot of, there's not a lot of leeway if you're not experienced with the airbrush. Overspray will get, and you'll have a little line here. So be cautious. If you don't put your little tape, you can put a little tape border. Just get a piece of tape, fold it over, boop, and just do it. Just surround it. And then you have a little tape border. If you want, you can just kind of maybe hold your stencil out a little bit, spray, so then it just kind of goes up and over. But I wouldn't do that. I don't even know why I would say that. All right. So let's get the black. Start with the middle first because these lines are basically just a guide, this outline, because you're going to go over this anyways. And these are just guides to paint. No, you don't have to fill them all in unless you want to. It's just very light guide. And that way you're not spraying a lot of paint right here, so you don't get a lot of overspray.
Overspray is a really good way to kill a painting.
Yes.
Especially when it's airbrush.
Unless you're putting color all over this thing. And then you still might have, I think there's a piece right here that I need to get out. There is. How funny is that? And I've used this today. Yeah. That's funny. If you want, you could put your hand, you know, in places so that you know that you're just kind of blocking your overspray if you're not comfortable with how much paint is coming out.
It's crazy because it looks like it's not even enough to make a mark, let alone overspray, but it does.
It's plenty.
Miss Erickson says, I just got mine out of the box and teaching myself. Thank you for this.
Awesome.
If you guys have any specific questions about airbrushing, we're here for it.
All right. And yes, every time I do use these, I do spray just a little bit of adhesive because the shirt does take it off. So this is the fill-in with the little teeth protector there is what I like to call it. And these line up pretty perfect to where the black is outlined. And then see, this is another reason I do like to do it in this order, so that when I do fill it in, I know exactly where these lip creases are. So what I like to do first, we'll do a color. What should we do? Should we just do like a light blue? What, you think a light blue would show up on there? Let's do, no, we're going to do like a magenta. And then maybe fill it in with some pink. Because that'll look good with this. Hopefully it won't turn like a dark pink. You think it'll turn into a purple?
It probably will turn
because this blue.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that though.
We'll see. We could possibly do green, but all right, I'm using a dark magenta, and it's not purple. Is this purple? Yeah, you can see purple, dark magenta. I wish I would have sprayed this today. All right, we'll see. Oh yeah, this looks nice. So what I like to do is just kind of outline the lip. Go in where all the creases are. Kind of do some extended creases because you know how the lips are. They've got a little detail. You might not even have to put a color in here just because of the blue works good.
TG says, I'm mesmerized.
Well, thank
Thanks,
you.
Don. TG said a lime green would look cool.
Well, the problem with lime green, which I think it will look cool as well, it might turn a little bit bluer just because of the shirt. Basically, I'm doing the test so you don't have to on a blue shirt. All right. So we know that we have, so when I cut this out, I put these drips, the shadow on the left side, which you really don't have to use that if you don't want to, but if you have trouble understanding, you know, how to do a shadow, that's what that's there for. So what we'll do is we'll make it darker on the left side of all these drips. We'll just kind of give it a little fade like that, as you can see. And then we're going to do kind of a bigger shadow where this lip is kind of plump right here. And I'm not going all the way to the edge because I want a little bit of that shirt showing through, so it does look like it's kind of rounded and there's a little highlight underneath it. And if I don't talk, I apologize. I start to get into this and I'm just kind of leaving this area right here. I'll fill it in a little bit just so that when I do put the white, I have a white, like a highlight stencil, so that gives it a little contrast and kind of see it better. Especially if you're doing a white shirt, you want to cover that as much as possible because the white will just kind of soak in to other white parts of the clothes. You have that a lot. I don't know. I think I like that. Leave a little bit of that shirt showing through. What do y'all think? I think it'll be fine. Boop. All right. Now here's the fun part. There's without the thing. This is how you get the shadow of the tooth. When you've noticed a lot of our paintings have the shadow. What you do is you take this. This is your shadow line right here. You peel that off and you just drop it. You can drop it a little bit. You can drop it a lot, depending on how big you want your shadow. What I normally do, we'll drop it down a little bit and then move it over a little, just a little bit, just so that you can kind of get an idea that the light is coming from this way. So you get more of a shadow over here and a less over here. That's completely up to y'all. Normally I would use, I don't like to use black for a shadow, but since this is right now, I don't have any shading gray. I don't have any light gray. I'm just going to barely hit this.
Does it matter how far down you move the stencil for the shadow?
No, just depends on how big of the shadow you want. See?
Looks great.
You just barely hit it, just because you don't want a big old heavy shadow on there, and then it just won't look right. All right, so now what I'm going to do, I think I'm just going to outline it now with the black so that I can get all this detail filled in, because on the stencil you leave little gaps. I guess they're called islands, so that it doesn't fall out. Your stencil doesn't fall out. So this is where your training of how close you want to be and how much paint is going to come out of your airbrush. And the whole point of knowing ahead of time where you're going. You always want to look ahead so you're not surprised and you don't go off. For some reason, I get a little squirrely on this side of the lip. I don't know why. And sometimes down in these little dips, but you'll get used to all that. So what I like to do is just kind of go and outline, connect all these little lines. And if you want, you can exaggerate the lip. You can make it straighter. You don't even have to if you don't want to, if you don't feel comfortable doing that yet. And this is where you can put that lip bite, make that really noticeable. Putting the lip just up a little bit over the tooth so it looks like you're biting down on the tooth. Now for the teeth, if you don't feel comfortable doing this, just get the edge of something, because it's mostly a straight line. It's just get the edge of something, and just like this shadow, you're barely gonna just hit it. Oh, I need to hit it more. But see, that just shows you there. And then go on the other side and just on that same line. Don't make a little gap and don't go over it, but just right down that line. And then you have you can do a little darker. I'm doing this for y'all so that I can show you how to do it, but I can just go down and make that line. I just didn't want to show off, if you must.
Well, you're doing this so people can know how to do it. And if they're not comfortable, then
yeah.
I mean, you can also just still show off if you want to. I'd imagine you have to make the lines a little bit darker since the background is a color.
I'm going to go in here and just give this a little bit of a shadow so it looks like they're behind. And I like to darken in this part right here so it looks like it's going into the mouth. Gives it some depth. And maybe do just a little bit of a darkening.
Canvas, leave them alone.
All right, so I'm going to go this way. Can you guys see me? Mm-hmm. Is it cool? So you notice that I started it and it sputtered.
Oh, you can see the line weight difference for sure.
Clean off your airbrush. If you feel comfortable going over this, go back over it. If not, just leave it and you can maybe put a little highlight or something. But don't start where it, if you're going to start a line, finish it. And if you got a squiggle, just go back, start where your line started and just go over it. Don't try to fill that in because then you'll definitely be able to see it.
Ladies, it's like trying to fix your eyeliner. How long did it take you to learn how to do this?
I would say, it didn't take that long to learn how to use it, just getting used to it and getting to the point where what your brain does and your hand does is what you want it to do. 6 months, feeling very comfortable, probably a year. It's just maybe, I don't know, maybe less, maybe more. I've been doing this since I was 19, 20. I don't want to tell you how long that is, and that's a long time. But yeah, you can get a little black color in those drips. You can make the drips bigger if you like. It's always nice to put a little definition in here. I like to put just a little bit of a shadow. See, you can tell I left a little bit of the shirt showing. If you just move up from that and just kind of do like a light, you can make that really look like, you know, it's going in and out, in and out. And then when you put the white highlights, that's when it looks really nice. But like I said, I rarely like using black. I would use a darker purple to do that if I had it.
Are you saying there's a color that you don't have?
I'm going to try to put this pink in here and see what it looks like.
Does anyone have any questions? Happy to answer any questions you guys have.
And all right, let's try to put some of this pink in here. Now that we already have a color down. Yeah, that looks nice. And if you want, take this, take your fill in, put it back over the teeth so you know that you're not going to get any color on your teeth or outside of it. But keep in mind, you spray a lot, you're going to get some overspray.
What kind of paint are you using?
I'm using golden high flow paint. This is not a fabric paint, mind you. So if you do use this, keep in mind it will fade tremendously if you wash this. I really want to do this. I'm going to probably do this afterwards and I'll maybe record it, but I have a heat set, and every time when I worked at an airbrush shop, we always heat set the shirts, but we were using either Createx or we were using Aquaflow, and that's a airbrush paint for shirts. It's a fabric shirt paint.
That's not
the thing
what you're
is,
using now?
it's very thick, so you have to thin it down with whatever, you know, Createx sells, reducer. I'm not sure, but this stuff I use for art because it's so thin that it flows very nice through the airbrush. The golden.
Love the pink highlights. Thank you, Dina. Can you use screen printing ink in the gun?
I would not. No, I don't even think it would go. That's thick. You can use like inks, like India ink. All right, so now we're going to take the highlight.
Miss Erickson says, what paint do you recommend for just learning? I'm currently mixing my own with acrylic.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put acrylic paint through that because for one, you're going to have to thin it down tremendously unless you're using just the golden. It has a little airbrush on here and it's very thin. Like it's very thin. Whoa. And then if you're watering down a paint, it's going to get diluted. And then it's not going to be very colorful. It's not going to flow right. And it's definitely going to dry up in your airbrush. And you don't want that type of paint to be in your airbrush. So I would definitely just get a bunch of black. Just get a big carbon black of this. It's literally just called High Flow Acrylics by Golden.
High Flow Acrylics by Golden.
Just get a big thing of black, and then get you, where's that?
Make sure it has this little airbrush doodad right here, so you can make sure it's thin enough. And
then get you some Palon sheets like this, or you can use paper towels if you want. That's the cheapest thing. A lot of people use these to practice on. A lot of people use these to make their displays. Or if people use them to paint and they sell them, and then you could frame it, whatever you like. This stuff is real soft and the paint takes to it very well. And paper towel, obviously, not so much, but it's a good thing to practice with.
I need stencils for sure. How would you do airbrush on denim? Ooh, we have a denim jacket that we did a lip piece on here.
You do.
So denim takes a little bit more prep work.
Depending on your design, it will, you just want to make sure that you're going to have to paint the area white, whether it be the entire back thing, if you're going to cover it, or just your lettering or whatever, but you're definitely going to have to paint the area white. I would just use white acrylic paint. You know, you can use, what is that?
Ugh.
Whoa. Just basically white acrylic paint. So you're going to paint it, you're going to let it dry, and if you can, put an iron on it and make sure it's nice and smooth and nice and flush, nice and flat. And then just kind of go from there and just add all your fun and your details. And now this is a little bit more difficult to put on, this white stencil. You're just going to have to trust that it's in those right areas.
So I know
because you can see through it. So you just want to make sure that your white highlight is not touching the top of the lip, and then everything else will come in line. I thought that I didn't put this here, like I took that out, but apparently I did it. I know I have no tape though.
If you give me 2 seconds,
I can just put my finger over it, so it's not a big deal.
So I'm showing everybody the jacket.
Okay.
So this lady asked us for a jacket.
That's a lot of. It's a lot of white paint. Yeah. But it looks good if you do it right.
We're available for hire if you guys want your lip jacket of your very own. The jacket is awesome.
All I'm doing is just spraying the white on the inside. Little highlights here. I don't like this. I'll take this out when I make these, when I make y'all's if you order them.
We do have these lip stencils available for download and for hard copy purchase on our website, artisttilldeath.com. Shay says acrylic dries so hard like plastic.
Yeah. But
well, if you were to
you can airbrush it. You can airbrush it, but it would just take a lot, and you would have to keep heat setting it or ironing it for it to be soft, depending on what the image is that you're painting.
Dina asks, to clean your airbrush, do you need to use an airbrush cleaner, or is there a cheaper solution you can use, like a homemade cleaner?
I just like to use soapy water. And if there's a lot of, if you got dried paint, if you left it out, get a little acetone. I know this is bad for the seals, but just don't keep it in there. Don't keep the acetone. Don't soak it. You can soak your parts, like there's a cone in here. All these parts here, you can soak in acetone just to get all the paint off. But don't soak your actual, the body, because there are little grommets in there that can break or come out. or get smaller. And then you have to send this in, unless you know how to send this into Iwata, and they will replace them for a fee, which I've never done that, but I've heard that you can do that.
Yeah, so if you run acetone through it, do it quickly and don't soak anything in it. Jeff also will just immediately when he's done painting, rinse his brushes with water. He'll just run water through it, and that really does a lot to upkeep his airbrushes.
I probably should do this so that people don't have to do this part.
What's up, Brittany? How are you
But
doing?
just little.
So what would you recommend is the best way to wash an airbrush? Just run water through it when you're done? I mean,
That's what I use. I use soapy water. I just put Dawn dish soap in here. When you're done with it, if you're not going to be using it for a while, just heavily clean it. I don't know if it does come with little cleaners.
Some color kits come with a cleaner. It's a really noxious smell, though. Don't breathe it in. What's up, Titch? How are you doing? Are you near Clara? Will you hug her for us? Gina says mine did. I think you're saying that yours did come with. So he's working his way up to the little penthouse. So yours did come with a cleaner. That's good. Oh, awesome. Dina's colors did come with a cleaner. A lot of times we get cleaners with paint packs, but Jeff hardly uses them.
What?
The little bottles of cleaner that comes with some of the paint that you get.
It really smells bad. I don't like to use that. It smells like it's not good for you.
No, it's very noxious.
So if you do use that, I would definitely put a respirator on and use that, or have a window open right next to you.
Oh, she got it in the Iwata kit, and it was expensive too.
Yeah.
Anything Iwata is expensive, but when you're going to do airbrush on the level of selling it, then it really is worth it to have proper paints and proper materials, I think.
Yeah. All right. So let's do a background. And remember, all this stuff comes with your set. I'm not sure what I want to do with this. So
thank you, Tish.
We're going to.
Lisa says, I know what I'm going to practice this weekend. Thanks for the inspo, ATD.
Awesome. You're welcome, and thank you.
If you want to just download the stencil that is this shape, you can just print it out. If you want to just do one use, you can print it out and cut it on just regular paper.
I think I'm going to do kind of
we sell reusable stencils.
An 80s style. Should I just try to use this green on there? I think it'll be fun.
That's true, Tish. Is that the lime green?
Yeah.
Says TG recommended that, and I think it would be a great idea as well.
If it works.
If it works.
Because sometimes the paint just does not want to come out. All right. So we're going to do some like 80s stuff. As you can see, I've already tried to do this. And I don't know how this is going to turn out on this blue shirt with this lime green. So here we go.
It's very 80s for sure. So he already had sprayed the Super 77 adhesive on that before he
All right.
put
So
that
let's
piece up there.
Let's do this. What do we got here? We can do blue.
TG says it's perfect.
What about if we do, I made this stencil today for pottery, but I think it'll be fun if we do it like that.
If you guys are interested in this stencil, as long as everything else on our website is on sale.
This one is, not this one.
Oh, not that one, but the lip ones. It's on sale on our website right now.
And like I said, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but we're going to find out. I wonder what this, I don't know. I think this is too light. I don't want to do that. Let's do blue. This blue really works. I don't know how or why, but I feel like it maybe because it's really thin. It sounds very thin. Whoa.
Whoa.
It's working.
Might cover up some of that neon.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a link for you guys to get to our stencils.
That's fun. And see, and this is another thing too. If you're doing this on a shirt, you don't want the background to be too dark. If you're going to put somebody's name or a saying or whatever, I'm going to put something on here. But look at that. It makes it pop nice and neat. What should we put on here? This is Erica's shirt, so I know she doesn't want her name on it because then people will be like, "Hey, Erica, hey."
Just do Hot Mess Success because that's basically my inner spirit.
You want to get me to misspell a word, don't you?
You want me to write it?
Let's see here. Hot mess. Yeah, write out success because I know I'm going to misspell that. Hot.
No problem.
Try to kind of get an idea of where you're going. And when you do lettering, hot, it's definitely looking forward so that you're not, you know, making a big ass B for birthday or something, and then you go smaller and smaller, and then the G fits inside the N, and we've all been there. Don't lie, we've all done it.
We've all been there. Let me double check my spelling, please. Okay, that is accurate. Oh yeah.
I don't like that H. I don't know why I did that.
That one would be a good steampunk background. Oh, for sure. The layering made it pop. Absolutely. Thank you, Sherry. I'd say the cheer I learned in high school. Oh, I still say the cheer I learned in high school so I can spell success. It's funny. So yeah, we're doing a super sale for the next 24 hours using code FLASH, F-L-A-S-H, 20% off. Support small businesses like moi. And maybe, just maybe, I can talk Jeff into doing custom shirts. We'll see. I said, we'll see. Not today.
You trying to?
No, we don't even have shirts in the house to do that. But he has been doing custom hats, and I can add the link for you guys if you want to get your own very special custom hats.
And I don't use black. I rarely use black for shadow. Normally I use purple, but we use black. It blends in too much with your lettering.
That looks awesome. That looks amazeball. What is the best way to care for an airbrush shirt?
I would hand wash it. I wouldn't put it in the handmade hand wash.
Yeah, typically we recommend if it's handmade, then it needs to be hand washed generally. But we do everything we can to.
But like I said, I'm going to heat set these just to see if, because I've done a shirt like this and then I washed it without heat setting it and it did fade quite a bit. But isn't it funny, like you get paint on your clothes and you try to wash it and it is the brightest. It'll be like the day it did it, the whole for years. But if you paint it on and then you wash it, it's going to fade. How funny is that?
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do? All right. So I told you I wasn't going to do lettering today, but I did. And then that will be a whole different,
episode.
A different episode. Because that in itself is a whole different monster. Lettering will put you in a bad mood if you are not comfortable with doing it.
You should add your QR code to your shirts. We do to some of them.
I mean, I don't think people are going to want a QR code on their shirt. People are, unless they
Maybe
ask
just,
for it. I'll
like
do
on
it.
the back, like where the tag is, but on the outside.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can you remind me what type of paint you're using? So, go ahead.
Now, this is High Flow by Golden. Whew.
So Golden's high flow bottles look like this. It'll say high flow down the side. And you have to make sure it has that little airbrush graphic right there to make sure it's thin enough to go through an airbrush. You won't damage anything or clog anything. How do you heat set it?
With a heat transfer press. Boop. There we go. I hope that was helpful. If you guys were ever wondering.
Yeah, we use a heat press. I would show you now, but it has to heat up for a bit.
This is a little thick on these right here, but what are you going to do?
Tish from Artist Haven said, I need the F cancer thing he did on those hats and a shirt.
Okay.
Well, Tish, we absolutely can do that for you. If you're serious, let me know. Shoot me a text and I will get that going for you. Happy to do it. Thank you for the support for our super small business. It super helps.
I'm not a fan of these S's. I didn't even make the bigger part.
Okay, he's gonna sit here and
pick apart. Yeah.
Pick apart this piece,
like
but everyone in the chat says, "quote So amazing, amazeballs, Jeff. Looks great.
Thank you.
I could watch Jeff airbrush all day. I'm still trying to work out how you attach so many handsets to one compressor.
I'll show you. I have 2 of these. It's kind of difficult to see, but
You're zoomed in a bit. A lot of it.
Yeah. As you can see under here, I have 2 of those hooked up. Then one of these hoses goes directly to the airbrush, which I probably should make a bigger hose, like attach a bigger hose. But then I think there would be a lot more air, and my compressor would probably come a little bit more often. But they sell these on Amazon. Normally, what you probably should do, so that if you do need to take it somewhere, is put quick disconnects on these as well. I do have them on my airbrushes, which means you can take it off. And if you have only one hose, but you have a couple airbrushes, that way you can have, 2 or 3 different colors or all these colors. You just have to, disconnect it. But it's called a quick disconnect. And normally you can do it with one hand.
Can you hold the camera?
There you go.
Do you prefer the gravity feed versus the siphon fed?
When I'm doing like portraits or fine detail, I prefer to use this one, just because the pressure is lower, so the paint's not coming out as fast, so you can get a little closer and you're not getting like a blown out, the paint's not coming out so fast, so you can get a little more detail. But then again, I'm only using like a transparent color in this. This is all opaque colors. Well, some of it's transparent, but so what I mean by blowing out, like you see how blown out that it looks, kind of
Hazy?
Yeah, hazy. Like you don't want that when you're painting detail. But that's just because you're doing it quick and you want a big spurt of paint to come out. When you're using something like this, you're normally doing detail.
Detail.
That green looks crazy on here.
I know, it's like glowing, super glow.
Man, that E is just terrible.
Literally only you.
I haven't done lettering. I need to just practice my lettering.
I always learn so much from you guys. Thanks. You're awesome. Well, it's our pleasure, Janet.
Thank
Please let us
you.
know if you have any requests or anything at all. Happy to help. Any other questions we can help you guys with for resin or airbrush or lettering or anything?
Stop picking at it. Thanks, y'all.
Stop picking at it. Badass shirt. It's awesome. Literally only him. It looks amazing from here. See, told you. Lime green. That's so good. Love the lettering.
All I think about is another airbrush artist looking at it going, okay. How long you been airbrushing, bro?
Well, I think it's one of those, if you don't use it, you lose it. And we've been doing a lot of other things other than lettering lately. So,
yeah, there you go. There's some airbrushing.
TG says, I gotta go. Gonna go shop the shop.
Shop to shop, walk to walk. Thanks for supporting us and buying from us.
Yep, y'all are amazing.
If y'all could share this so we can get our subscribers up, that would be amazing.
Twould. So which one do you like better? The one you did yesterday or the one you did today? Yesterday?
That's bigger, so it's a little,
And it's on white, so it's a little bit more vibrant.
Yeah, that's how white looked, the white shirt. Yeah, as you can see,
compare them.
it does look a little different. And I made my fake Louis Vuitton background. Yeah, you can tell I haven't done lettering. That is just horrific.
Literally no one could tell.
All right, you guys, you have an awesome Friday. And if you're from Las Vegas, I'm not going to say anything negative, but the Dallas Stars are playing in your city tonight. So I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to say go Stars.
We have more people in here from Australia than from Vegas right now.
Yeah. So, yeah. Go Stars. Thanks for your support.
I like the neon green. I'm definitely putting notifications on your channel. Thank you, Sarah Bear. Like today's better. So pretty. Official Maddie Jones. Thank you, Maddie. And Missy Evans Crafted Creation says that's awesome. Everybody loves it.
Okay. So you guys have an awesome Friday night. Be kind to one another because you never know what somebody's going through. And always remember, we do the test.
So you don't have to.
Ew.
Pups in their little penthouse. We got to take them out.
Pups in the penthouse. You guys have an awesome night. We will see you later. Bye.
Thank you, Artistic. We said bye.